Hi, everybody, and welcome to this special episode of Prinsights Global live from the Rick Rule Symposium in Boca Raton 2025. And I am really thrilled to be able to catch up with this particular CEO, Keith Neumeier, who is the CEO of First Majestic Silver, and whose recent quarterly earnings just came out while we were here at Rule. So, Keith, welcome, and thank you so much for making the time to join us here. Let's just start with that. You've had a really good quarter.
Yeah, the acquisition of Gatos, which was closed in January, obviously helped out a lot. Our production in 2024 is about 21 million ounces of silver equivalent, of which about 60% of that was about silver, and the rest was in gold. This year, we'll produce around 31 million silver equivalent ounces. Nice increase from last year, about a 50% increase year over year in production. It showed up in the quarter. So that's really good to see. We're the purest silver company out there. 55% of our revenues are from silver, 35% is from gold, and about 10% in the form of lead and zinc. So, when it comes to a silver company, we're all in when it comes to silver.
Now, what's interesting is if we look at year over year, not even quarter over quarter, the silver price has basically appreciated by 45% over the last year, and year to date, 25%.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's really helped our treasury a lot, as you can imagine. At the end of Q1, we had over $450 million in the bank, pretty substantial treasury. And I can tell you, when we put you mentioned our quarterly statement came out yesterday, which is our production numbers. So the earnings numbers come out in about a month.
Right.
And I can tell you that, we see continued improvement in our treasury, which is always nice.
Right, especially with these prices. I'm sure that's going to, as long as silver continues to have the sort of moment in demand that it's having, that's going to obviously play into the fact that you are the largest silver producer in the world.
Yeah, our revenues in 2025, assuming metal prices stay where they are, will be close to $1 billion. Mm-hmm. It's not a bad revenue line number, and free cash flow will be about $200 million as part of that $1 billion in revenue. So it's a pretty good place to be.
Yeah, it's a very clean balance sheet.
Mm-hmm. Cleanest it's ever been. 22 years, put the company together, and me as a CEO, I get our cash reports every Friday and from Treasury, and it looks really good. It puts a smile on my face every week.
I can imagine it. And what's also interesting, we talked a little bit about this before starting this interview, is the current gap and the opportunity in investing in First Majestic at this point is really quite significant, given the numbers, given where silver is, and given your history.
Yeah, the market's not, for yourself, like the mining sector's still not catched a real strong bid yet from the big institutions. They're looking, of course, and people are kicking the tires, but you go back a decade, and we had mutual funds, pension funds, and alike that had good, large, chunky positions in the company, and they all abandoned the market during the last fall. And in 2014 through 2016, they pretty well just abandoned the mining sector, and they're now kicking the tires, right? And I think they're coming back. So we need that sticky investor, those big funds that that are to come back into the mining sector. And they have gone into the Newmonts and the Nico Eagles of the world, but they're coming down now to the companies, in the mid-tier, our size companies. So it's nice to see.
Yeah, and those are ones that are particularly interesting to investors who really want to look at that longer-term opportunity, and potentially the private wealth, the family wealth, those that sort of take a little bit of a more speculative approach in terms of mid-cap versus smaller cap relative to larger cap. And it seems like with silver at these levels, that's going to start to bring in that part of the participation.
Yeah, I think you're right. And, last time last time silver prices were north of $30, our stock was $25. And we produced half the amount of silver as we're producing today. So we're basically double the size of the company, and our share price is basically, less than half of what it was at its peak, back in 2011, 2012.
Right. And in terms of the industrial use of silver right now and the demand from that side, are you seeing that pick up, or what are your expectations on that part of the demand curve?
Well, this interview wouldn't be possible without silver. So
this is true.
Yeah. A third of the planet is still not electrified, and there is a bunch of need to electrify the planet in a more a sustainable manner. So even in the West, the grids are being redone, and nuclear energy is being looked at again, and governments are really seeing that energy is really a critical component of the economy, and so we're not only having a good chunk of the globe wanting to electrify themselves and get gadgets like this, cell phones and computers and cars and so on and so forth, but we also got the West that also needs to upgrade their systems as well. So there's a huge demand for metals, and I think we're going into a pretty strong bull market. I think we're in the early stages.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you. And I think that's exciting for metals, exciting for silver, exciting for First Majestic. So I know actually there's a lot of activity here at the conference around silver this year compared to last year. And I think that's always a precursor of what's going to happen in the external investor community. And I really appreciate you spending the time here going through some of the numbers and your expectations of First Majestic and silver in general. So thank you so much.
Yeah, it's part of educating, the big institutions, right? There's a lot of young people that have come into this, the financial markets that really have not seen a real bull market in metals previously. They're used to trading, NVIDIA and, Tesla.
Which silver has outperformed this year. It's outperformed you, NVIDIA.
And they're waking up to that fact.
Yeah.
And I see it happening, and I'm very optimistic right now. And First Majestic is in a great place currently, and we're looking for a very positive 2025.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time, Keith.
Great. Thanks, Naomi. Appreciate it.
And thanks all of you for tuning in to this episode of Prinsights Global.